My name's Dan Corbett, and I'm the managing partner with BlackIron Group. Today, I want to talk to you about using Odoo in the process manufacturing sector, and then demonstrate the tool for an imaginary paint manufacturer. First, a quick shameless plug. So BlackIron's in our 20th year, and for 20 years, we've helped customers refine sales, inventory, and accounting processes, extend their reach, and automate and grow their business. That's kept customers coming back to us, and for that, we're very grateful. We've experienced with the vast majority of ERP systems in the marketplace, and that experience tells us that Odoo is poised to become the next big thing in ERP software. Unlike traditional ERP systems, Odoo offers a comprehensive suite of integrated applications that can be tailored to fit the specific needs of any business, regardless of size. Odoo's cost-effective pricing model makes it accessible for startups and mature businesses alike, while its robust features streamline operations and drive efficiency. But what specifically makes it good for process manufacturers? Finding and keeping customers for any kind of manufacturer is becoming harder than ever. For process manufacturers, it's specifically tough because finding raw materials used in creating can be overwhelming. You're buying from multiple people. You deal with formulas and recipes to produce goods in all kinds of different formulas, but they're very specific to individual customers. After all, chocolate syrup for Nestle tastes a lot different than chocolate syrup for Hershey's. And unlike discrete manufacturers, the focus is on batch management, traceability, and managing those byproducts. So why struggle with a spreadsheet when you can launch into the future with Odoo? Odoo lets us buy the same raw materials from multiple vendors with multiple prices. It's built into the base app. Lot tracking, which is a very complicated process, is also built into the base app. Samples, while not built into the app, is pretty easy to kind of put together. Blanket POs, manufacturing and shop orders, and all the kind of work that goes into the work that you guys do is built into this tool right from scratch. So let's take a look, shall we? Okay, we're going to make up an imaginary paint company. And our imaginary paint company is going to buy from us. Our company manufactures ingredients for precise instructions used in the finished goods. Each bill of materials for our polymers is custom, meaning that the product specifically created is made just for that customer and no one else. The work required typically to get a final recipe for a specific ingredient is pretty arduous and complex, and as a result, once it's final, customers typically contract for multi-year contracts for us. Knowing what that contract mandates and comparing it to orders shipped becomes important to understand forecasting to the shop self. So let's take a look into Odoo. Our imaginary company, Benjamin Moore-ish, has reached out to us about a new polymer, a heat-resistant polymer that they can use in some of the paints that they put on high heat-tolerant products. So we're going to create that quote inside of Odoo, and we're going to ship it out to them. Let's see that quickly. All right, in a quote, the first thing we're going to need to do is put together a sample order. So I want to ask the system, and tell the system rather, that this is a sample order. So for Benjamin Moore-ish, for my polymer AAA123, I'm only going to get 1 gallon as a sample so that they can confirm this recipe. Let's build this out, confirm it, and then make it. Okay, in our polymer 123, we've got a bill of materials. Now I went ahead and built this, but in our example, we would put this together each time for a brand new product. So this polymer has silicon rubber, I dare you to pronounce that word, and benzene. The combo of these three in a 2, 3, and a 0.5 creates this heat-resistant polymer that we're going to basically use for Benjamin Moore. Let's create this and ship it out to them so that they can test it. All right, in our shop floor app, our users out on the field are probably not that interested in being IT people, but they are very good at mixing and bonding these chemicals together. So at this point, I've started this. We're 21 seconds into doing this work. We are the greatest mixing and bonding company ever, so we're going to mark this as done. And when I do that, essentially it helps me create this product, and my byproduct of methyl is also created. So one of the chemical reactions with benzene and that word that begins with a D is a process of methyl. We can use that or sell that out in the world. So when we create that, we also want to capture that in inventory. Odoo lets us do that. I'm going to go ahead and close this production, and we're going to get this sample out there. Okay, at this point, I've got my product and I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and validate this and get this shipped out. This is now out in the world and waiting for customer feedback. You can see that I delivered it with a delivery slip. Well, as information comes back and forth between this output, we're going to capture that over here in a function called chatter. So as we send this to the customer is going to send us back information, and we're going to use that here. So we had that information sent out, and when I got it, I said that I think we're close. We need the benzene added after the mix. So we can use this information and go back and forth with the customer and have that data tracked right here in the system. It's a really slick way to sort of put that information together and capture everything about that output that we need to capture. I don't want to bore you with this, but at this point, let's pretend that our sample is solid and it's time to write an order. Like we said earlier, typically with process guys, once we've got this formula right, they're going to want to write a multi-year contract. So let's go do that quickly in the system and then start tracking our sales orders against it. Going into CRM, I'm going to write just a blanket opportunity, but we're going to use this like a blanket PO. In other words, excuse me, we're going to track the quotes and the sales orders against this opportunity so that we can at any time figure out how close we are to the $500,000 that we expect in revenue for this polymer for Benjamin Moore-ish. I'm going to write a couple of sales orders. I'm going to build the manufacturers and not bore you with the details, but we're going to come back to this screen and see what that looks like in a second. Okay, so the concept of blanket orders is basically built using opportunities and then tying it to sales orders. I really wish I could have shown you a moment in time, but Odoo kind of prevents me from my own stupidity and date stamps any order that I put in. So you can see they all happened within a few minutes of each other. But nevertheless, I have a $500,000 blanket order out there, and I've got 200, let's call it in nice round numbers, 260 grand out there in satisfied orders at this point. From a sales rep perspective, I now know who I need to chase. I know I need to chase Dan at Benjamin Moorish and talk to them about, where the other 240K is going to come from. And I've got that information kind of built into the system. I can carry it around in my pocket in the mobile app. Essentially, this gives my sales reps and my manufacturing team the ability to kind of collaborate and use that data together across purposes. Looking into any of these sales orders, I can start to do some traceability as well. So I'm going to click into my polymer, and I'm going to take a look at my manufacturing orders for this particular piece and see where all of my stuff came from in terms of my lot tracking. Here's my manufacturer orders. If I click any of these and click on traceability, now I know I created this one. I created them all in 1.6, but imagine this was the one that happened in March. Clicking on this lets me tell both inside of our organization and outside to Benjamin Moore-ish what lots I basically used to put this together. So my silicon came from silicon 1, dimeth 001, and benzene 001. And this is a stupid example, I recognize, but this is a really interesting and easy way to sort of figure this out. If something happens to that polymer out in the field, I know where my 3 source chemicals came from. I know what lot they came from. I know when they were received, and I know what quantity I've got in the system. This is super useful information both for bug tracking or issue resolution, or basically for quality control inside of the system. Finally, as I told you, mixing, say this word again, benzene together yields methyl. That ethyl basically is created as a part of the byproduct and is automatically added as inventory back into the system. At this point, I've now got 6,400 fluid ounces of methyl that I can use to sell out in the marketplace. None of that is wasted. All of that is tracked inside of Odoo in a really interesting and compelling way. Finally, it's not much use if I can't take a look at this at a much more macro level. And so Odoo gives me the ability to either use dashboards that are put together or build my own. In this example, you can see who my biggest customers are. Of course, Benjamin Moorish is there. I also sell motorcycles, oddly enough, so we've got that information in the system. I know what my top products are. I also sell silo bulk dischargers. You'd be amazed what we do at this company. And all of that information is essentially captured here in the system. I can use this to kind of drive my sales activities. My sales reps out in the field can use this information to decide who to go after. It's easy to go after the customers that like you. Obviously, Benjamin Morris likes us a lot, but maybe Testish isn't doing so well. This kind of information helps us track that kind of level and use that information to drive more sales from maybe the customers who aren't buying as much from us as they should. So what's next? You can obviously tell I'm a pretty big fan of this tool, and I think there's a ton of broad applicability to all kinds of manufacturers. But for you process manufacturers, this could be a very interesting way to get off some of those old, tired ERP systems that don't connect to anything, build out servers in countless hours with IT groups, probably outsourced to keep those things running, and move to the future with Odoo. We'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at info@blackiron.group.com or or call me directly on my personal cell phone, 203-984-9087. You could also reach out to Odoo directly, but make sure to mention us in this video. Thanks for your time. We're looking forward to hearing from you.